Hello and welcome to Hidden in the Universal Vault. I'm Ryan, your host. Well, we made it, folks. We have made it to my best list. Now, I'm starting really early, and I gotta say, before I start the list, I gotta say, I had a lot of fun making these videos, and for me, this best list was a tough list to make because there were a lot of good movies on the channel, some bad, but we'll get to the worst movie in another video, the worst movies of this year in another video. So yeah, this is just a top 10 of what I think are the best this year that I've watched on the channel. So without further ado, we're going to start with the honorable mentions. Now, I usually do 10 honorable mentions and the 10 best. So we'll start the honorable mentions because I've already, you know the drill. If you've seen my list, you'll know. So they're not in any order. They're just movies that I haven't written down, but I didn't feel like going looking for them. So honorable mention number 1 is McKenna Shoot for the Stars. This is part of the American Girl series. I actually found this movie really, really fun. It didn't make it on my list because, well, it was a movie made for girls. But as a 36-year-old who watched the movie this year, I think it's a great movie. I think again, as I said in the review, if you can ignore, if this was a different sport, if this wasn't gymnastics, you still would have had yourself a solid film. It's also about friendship as well, so that's why it's on the list. I have the full review on my channel. Fletch with Chevy Chase was another really good 80s detective movie. Not necessarily detective, but it was an inventive film. It was about the man who disguises in a bunch of disguises. It was directed by Michael Ritchie, and I thought that was really a ton of fun. It didn't make on my best list because there were a few problems with it, so that's why I didn't make it. Again, the full review is on my channel. So, yeah. The 355, I originally had this one on my best list, but then I changed it at the very end. So, yeah, this was an all-star cast that had, like, Diane Kruger, Lupita Nyong'o, bunch of others I'm kind of blanking on. But it was it was basically a female version of Ocean's 11. That the movie Oceans did, but that's why it's on there. I'm going to kind of run them short, so yeah. Slapshot from 1977 with Paul Newman. This is a comedy about a hockey team. Really funny movie. This is the only film that Paul Newman ever used the F-bomb. He's never used the F-bomb in his entire career. This is the only time that he was able to use the F-word. So, yeah, but the comedy was really good. I thought the ending was a little too weak, but still, this is a fun movie and is actually shot in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, that's why it's on that. That's why it's on there. Cape Fear, the remake to Cape Fear, which I just covered, I believe in October. Really solid remake. Robert De Niro, very chilling. Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, Juliette Lewis. The cast was just incredible. It was a fun horror movie, more or less a thriller, and solid cast whatsoever. Good Shepherd, directed by Robert De Niro. Really, really good movie. I thought De Niro did great behind the camera. So yeah, a good espionage story. Matt Damon, Angelina Jolie. Everyone was just great in that cast. So yeah. Frenzy, again, Alfred Hitchcock's second to last film. This one was originally on the list, but then I watched another film with him in it for Halloween that did it better. I'll get to that movie when I get to the list. So Frenzy, almost close. This is a really good but a really good thriller, psychological thriller, I should say. But the reason it didn't make it on the list was I thought the ending was a little too weak. Even though I thought the ending was kind of bad, I still like the movie for what it is, and it was the first movie I reviewed of this year. The Kids Are Alright with Annette Bening and Julianne Moore. Really good stuff. Josh Hutcherson. Really, really good movie. Made by Focus Features. It's a sort of slice of life story, and it it was a little too long. That's also the reason why I didn't make on the list. Again, most of these movies I just put on the list. So anyways, and the final honorable mentions is the Hammer horror film shot in glorious black and white, Nightmare. I thought Nightmare was really good. The black and white cinematography was really good, but I felt, again, there was another Hammer horror film I had on here, but yeah, I think, yeah, I didn't put that on the list, but it's still good. It's still good. It makes you think. The ending is what really made me put on the honorable mentions list. So, yeah, now that I got the honorable mentions out of the way, let's actually get to the... I have a paper right here that I made the list. So, yeah, let's get to the best... Let's actually get to what the best stuff. So now, let's go ahead and get right to it. So... without further ado, here is my the best movies of 2024. We're going to start with number 10, 9. 9 was amazing. One of the best CGI films ever made. The cast was really good. It can be dark. I felt the ending kind of almost made me, I guess, cry. And a short film, which I did watch after the movie, was really good. The one that was based upon this. So yeah, this is one of the Focus Features movies that is on the list. Please see 9. Again, full review up there. But yeah, the cast is just incredible. I'll run them down. Elijah Wood, John C. Reilly, Jennifer Connelly, Christopher Plummer, Crispin Glover, Martin Landau, and some guy named Fred Tensenskop, who I don't know. But regardless, 9 is great. So that's why it's number 9. No, that's why it's number 10. The movie's called number 9. It would have been weird if I put that number 9. So, yeah, I'll put them on the floor right here. So, yeah, number 9. Now we get to the 9th movie. Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead. This movie is so much fun. This is a zombie comedy. I remember seeing this in 2004 on pay cable. I remember seeing it. I remember renting it at Skyview Video, which was an old mom and pop rental store. Then I got it loose on the closed down Blockbuster, and then I bought it complete. But regardless, Shaun of the Dead is so good. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, these two are incredible. They made a couple movies. They made Hot Fuzz and Paul, which I do own, and I do eventually get to. Might have covered Hot Fuzz, I'm not sure, but Shaun of the Dead, it's a zombie comedy. Bill Nighy is great. The whole cast is good. The ending is surprisingly pretty funny. It has fun moments. It is so good. There's an old Haunting Hour episode, which was also the inspiration to Shaun of the Dead, called Game Over, which I felt that was like a video game version of Shaun of the Dead. But still, Shaun of the Dead is a masterpiece. Please see this movie. You're into zombie comedies or you're into horror movie. And even George A. Romero said an absolute blast. So see this movie. It is so good. Now the number 8 movie I don't have right now, but I watched it on Eastwood Pack, and that's Coogan's Love. Clint Eastwood, amazing. Directed by Don Siegel. Eastwood plays a cop who basically he's trying to stop a guy, law enforcement, so he takes justice on his hands. So that's the sum of it. Again, full reviews on the channel. I'll have a link to these full reviews if you want to know my full review. But Clint Eastwood, on his prime, 1968. This was during the time where he was making the spaghetti westerns, so he wanted to break away from that. So Don Siegel would direct him in several other films, contacted him and said, let's make another movie together. And they nailed it out. I mean, come on. The fight with the guy who voiced Grandpa Lou from Rugrats is amazing. Even has a Different Strokes Conrad Brand. He's in it as well, which I was like, huh, he's in this? I didn't know who he played as, but he's in the credits. I must have missed some. So when I do rewatch it, I'll be able to see. So, yeah. So, number 8, Coogan's Bluff, made on the list, but it's an Eastwood set. It's in the closet right now. So, number 7, this is a movie that I originally had Frenzy on the list, but this did it much better. And as the 1960 classic Psycho, made by Paramount Pictures. This movie is great. It's good, but if you watch in the dark, it is great. It is a fun experience in the dark. Psycho to me is an example of how you do a horror movie when you get it right. Wow. Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh, who appears in this movie, but she's not that much. John Gavin is in this. Vera Mills, Martin Balsam. Wow. Marion Crane, how they spoiler for a movie that's this old, it's early, they kill her in the shower, and it's the most iconic scene. For 1960, this gave audience chills. And fun fact, John Gavin would actually retire from acting, and he would become the U.S. ambassador for Mexico under the Ronald Reagan administration. But his last movie was actually A History of the World Part 1 for Mel Brooks in 1981. There's another John Gavin movie, Through the Millie Mile. I'm definitely going to check that out. But still, regardless, I'm getting off topic. See Psycho, guys. This is amazing. This is how you do horror done right. If I had not watched this, Frenzy would have made on the list. But it's just so cool. 100th anniversary release. Just, wow. You have to see Psycho. If you haven't, don't sleep under a rock. It is really, really good. Number 6 is actually a Hugh Grant comedy from 2002, which I watched off the 4-movie marathon romantic comedy collection, and that's About a Boy. Yeah, About a Boy. So About a Boy, this was another great movie. I actually have the poster to this movie. I have it hanged up, but I do have the poster. I was pleasantly shocked. This is a story of Hugh Grant. He stumbles upon a young man who he raises, and this young man, he's like a misfit. He's like, gets in all kinds of fights. So Hugh Grant changes him from being a juvenile delinquent to growing up to be a young man. That's all I know about this, but the direction by the Wentz brothers, well, Chris Wentz directed this, and the direction is just so good in this. But if you haven't seen About a Boy, it's really good. Again, full review on the bottom. I probably already said that, but see About a Boy if you haven't. That's why it's number 6 on my list. Now, number 5 is part of the Tales from the Crypt franchise. This one I've seen part of when it was during their Shocktober block. And that movie is Bordello of Blood from 1996. I had a ton of fun with this. It was definitely a blast. The ending is what made me put this on the list. If you've not seen the ending, see the ending. I honestly thought Dennis Miller did a great job. Angie Dickinson is in it. Isn't Angie? No, Angie Everhart. I'm sorry. Angie Everhart is in this. And I've been watching a lot of the 2000s to tell the truth. And that's actually how I knew who Angie Everhart was. But she is incredible as the head vampire. Matt Hill, Ed, and Eddie is in this. Corey Feldman has a small role. It is amazing. It's basically a story about Dennis Miller. He plays the guy who works. He's sort of like a detective, but he and Chris is it Sheridan? Sheridan plays a priest that they go into this house full of vampires, and the climax with the holy water squirt guns is just amazing. It's a ton of fun. Kept my interest. I had a lot of fun with this. Plus, Ballroom Blitz playing. How can you not go wrong with this? I also have Demon Knight, which I will cover eventually. But still, if you have not seen this, see this movie. It's just so much fun. And that's why I love these like horror comedies. Like Shaun of the Dead, I think it's still fun for what it is. Now, number 4 on the list is a movie that has phenomenal performances and from a great director like Sam Mendes, and that is Away We Go from 2009. Yeah, 2009. This Focus Features title was higher than the movie 9, but Away We Go is so good. John Krasinski, Maya Rudolph, talk about Oscar caliber performance in it. And I'm not a big John Krasinski fan. I just don't find him that talented. But in a film like this, I think it works so well. It's a story about a story about John Krasinski and Maya Rudolph. They play husband and wife. His wife is pregnant, so they're trying to track down to find that she actually pregnant. So they go to all kinds of means. It's also a road picture, which feels like a road picture at times. There's one scene I thought was good where she thought that she was on a plane, but she thought she was 4 months pregnant, but then she was 8.5 weeks pregnant. Something like that. And the airline, the people who work at the airport said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, you cannot go on this plane. I'm sorry, you just can't." I was like, "What are you talking about? I'm 8 months pregnant? I thought I was 4 months pregnant." So kind of like those performances, and it's the relationship is so good. The performances are so good in this. You had the likes of Jeff Daniels, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Allison Janney, who's incredible, Catherine O'Hara. The cast is extremely solid. Melanie Lynskey is in it for a small role. Jim Gaffigan, which is also funny because on SNL, they both acted in SNL. So it's kind of cool seeing them again since this movie. But aside from that, I'm not going to get into the whole political stuff. But there's nothing wrong with this. Just see this movie, guys. It is so good. Yeah, I have the full review. If you have not seen this movie almost made me cry at the end. Just like when a movie I reviewed Somewhere a couple years back, this is a movie that makes me think of why I watch film, the way I look at a film. And the ending is just so heartbreaking and so sad. But it also makes you feel good. It has that feel-good moment. This right up there, Road to Perdition, is probably my favorite Sam Mendes movie next to Road to Perdition. So please see this movie, guys. I don't need to. If I gush and talk about it, it'll just be on and on and on. Now, number 3 was a movie I did watch on DVD, but I was yard sale hunting. I upgraded to Blu-ray, but I did not watch the Blu-ray. I did check out Dope from 2015 from Open Road Productions. This movie is... It's another slice of life movie. It's basically 2015 with 90s technology. And that's what makes Dope unique. The performances are just great. Shahiq Moore, who would go on to voice Spider-Man, Miles Morales, I think, in the Spider-Man films. He's in this. The cast is just good. Blake Anderson from Workaholics. Kimberly Elise plays a bus driver. The whole cast is just incredible. This movie is just a ton of fun. It makes me live in the time of the 1990s. My favorite era of not only movies, but the way film was. But yeah, Dope is so good. It is what the title says, Dope. So, if you've not seen Dope, this is a very hard R-rated movie. There's some racial moments in it, so it might not be for everybody, but watch with caution. But if you can ignore those flaws, not flaws, we can ignore those factors going into this movie, like with Black Mask, not to compare that, but if you can go into that factor, check this movie out. And that's why Dope's number 3. Now, number 2, and I'm going to explain when I get to number 1 soon, but number 2, I had this movie at number 1 originally, but then I watched the prior film to this, and this is a movie that had Robert Downey Jr., who won the Oscar. Now, I did cover a film called The Soloist, which was number 5 on my best list of last year. But, come on. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan's Oscar-winning film. This is a story about J. Robert Oppenheimer. It's a movie that I really wanted to see when this came out. Incredible. Credible special effects, credible directing, credible cast, credible directing. Cillian Murphy, I'm not an Emily Blunt fan, but for what it is, she's good in this. Matt Damon, Robert Downey Jr., Fiona Pugh. This cast to me is just amazing, and it shows you what Christopher Nolan can do. Matt Damon, yeah, I think I mentioned Matt Damon, but It is so good. Josh Hutcherson is in this. I think, yeah. Josh Hutcherson, the director, Kenneth Branagh is in this. Rami Malek, Casey Affleck. I can go on and on and on and on about the cast. It's so good. And Christopher Nolan said in interviews, he's a big fan of physical media. He wanted this in the store shelves real bad. I had fun with Oppenheimer. Like, the special effects, like, the story of him is very fascinating, but the movie itself in whole is incredible. If you have not seen this, please do yourself a favor and see this movie. It is so good. Definitely Oscar worthy. Definitely won the Oscars that should. Now, just see the movie. So, number one, this is a movie, I gotta say, if I do put a drum roll in that, if I do put a drum roll in that, I might. So let's go ahead and do it right now. Number one, the best movie, the hidden in the Universal Vault. Number one, the best movie of 2024 is Snow Falling on Cedars. This movie, wow, this movie is amazing. I had Oppenheimer, but then when I watched this, I realized how much better the movie is. I love this movie. This movie is very sad. It's basically a story about a man. He meets up with this, I want to say he meets up with, this is taken during World War II, and it has to deal with Japanese American internment camps. It also is not only a World War II film, it's a courtroom drama. It talks about Japanese internment camps. I love this movie. And the way that it's shot, I mean, the whole cast is incredible. Let's run down the cast. Ethan Hawke, James Cromwell, Richard Jenkins, Yui Koda. Yui Koda is this woman right here. James Rebhorn, Sam Shepard, Rick Yoon, Max von Sydow. This cast is so good. Scott Hicks, what a director. For a first-time director, it might be the only movie he ever... Well, he made Shine, and then after this he would go on to work on Hearts and Atlantis. But wow. It is so sad at times. The ending alone is really what made this movie great. I had a really fun time with this movie. I really loved this movie. It's sad at times. It's happy at times. It's a courtroom drama, as I said. The cast is just really good, and I don't really need to explain. But please, guys, please, I'm begging you, see this movie. It's available on everything. If you're into VHS, get on VHS. It's on DVD. It's been on DVD for years. Shout Select put out on Blu-ray. Whatever format you get the movie, do not sleep on this movie. It is just amazingly great. It's a ton of fun for what it is. I can highly, 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 highly recommend this movie. It is a blast from start to finish. I loved everything about this movie. And I just, wow. It's about a trial for God. Finds his ex-lover is linked to the case. Yeah, it also deals with an investigation case of a man who apparently killed someone. But it's so good. And Richard Jenkins, definitely an Oscar performance. I love Richard Jenkins, period. He's one of my favorite actors. But I have another movie of Richard Jenkins in which I'm going to check out, Sea of Love. I'm eventually going to get to that next year. But yeah, if you have not seen this, do yourself a favor, do not sleep on this. But yeah, so there you go, guys. That is my best list. My top 10 best movies. The best list of 2024. These were just the best of the best, the cream of the crop. I had fun with this year. I had a great time. Now, I'm recording this a little early, so you might see this near the end of the month as I'm recording this. So yeah, I had a ton of fun with this. It was a great, great year. I look forward to next year, and maybe you can get some better movies in next year. I had a great time with 2023, and I look forward to 2025. When I get to the movies next year. So, yeah, like I said, if you are interested in checking out my reviews of these 10 movies plus the honorable mentions, I'll have a link on the bottom of this video description so you guys can go ahead and check out what I have reviewed. Some, like I said, this year was just all in all, overall, a great year, and I hope looking forward to doing more and more reviews. So and as always, keep watching those Universal movies, and I'll catch you guys next time in 2025. Bye.